First of all, welcome to EPFO guidance program. And this is orientation session. You all must be aware of my name. My name is Aditya. So, what will happen in this course? I will tell you now first the the modus operandi of our course. So we have different kinds of students. Some of you have already given interviews as well in for EPFO. Some of you are very new. You don't have any idea apart from just seeing the syllabus. And some have given examination but could not qualify prelims. Now, as a mentor, this is our prime responsibility that our course fulfills the demand of everyone. So it will start from the basics and then it will touch upon the in-depth study of a particular subject. And how we have organized this guidance program is that instead of one person who is not an expert of any one subject taking all the subjects all together, there will be experts of that particular subject who have taken classes for that subject for 5 to 6 years in different institutes, so that you get in-depth and quality lectures, not some lectures in which the teacher is just reading the PPT. One who has given 4 to 5 years for that subject will be taking up the classes. Like I am the expert of general study and current affairs. So all the handouts that you will get, or all the sessions that you will get for general study in the future, will be handled by me. Similarly, Siddharth sir will handle his expertise subject, and other faculties will also handle only those subjects in which they are expert, so that you get best quality lectures. Apart from this, what is very, very important is that we are very approachable if you have any doubt with respect to the lecture. So, in the end of the lecture, when the faculty will finish one topic, you can ask by writing your doubts in the chat box or whatever faculty will wish. If they will tell you that you can open your mic and ask one by one, then you have to do that. But you can clear the doubts then and there. If you cannot clear the doubts then and there, then you can personally also ask. They will put their Telegram IDs. You can go and ask that faculty about a particular doubt that you have. You just have to remain patient. It may take 3 to 4 hours, or sometimes when they are out, it may take more time, but you will get a sure short response. What is very, very important is that you have to attend all the classes. You have to give your 100% effort and give all the tests as well. Okay. And I can assure you, if you are very attentive, if you are attending all the classes and giving your 100%, EPFO is very, very reachable thing. It's not like civil services that you are reading something and something else is coming. This examination is crackable. Okay. So you have to remain confident. Now I will invite Siddharth sir to take over me.
Thank you, Aditya sir. Hello, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes. So, welcome to the Come Yogi IAS. Everyone must listen to the Aditya sir and clear message got from him also. So now we are going to take the today. Everyone has seen the today's lecture details, right? That today is the industrial relation classes will be taken by the Jogendra sir, who has been teaching from last 4 years in the various institute. So he will guide you with these subjects. If you have any doubt, you can drop it into the message through message in group, or you can message me on Telegram. I will make you sure that your doubt will be resolved as soon as possible by the faculty itself. Okay. If anyone has another kind of doubts related to anything, then just reach out to me on my Telegram ID. Everyone must know my ID, right? So be very attentive in class. Ask doubt one by one, or you can raise your hand. Sir will clear your doubt. Okay, am I clear, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So now I am handling to the Jogen sir. Jogen sir will carry out the classes, lectures, and I am just wishing you all the best. So go and hit the target and crack the examination. All the best, guys. Take care.
Okay. Thank you, Siddharth, sir. Hello everyone, I am Joginder and I'll be taking industrial relations with you. And throughout next few days, we'll be looking at the nooks and crannies of industrial relations. So feel free to ask any question in between. You have free will, so as I. So let's start. In industrial relation, what do we understand by the term industrial relations? Phrase industrial relation or term industrial relation? Anyone? I'm audible, I guess.
Yes, sir.
So you can
I
answer
think
the question. You can answer the question. What do you understand by industrial relations?
I think industrial relation is related to the management of industry and their administration.
Acha, okay. Hmm. I'm sharing my screen. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, sir.
You can see it now. Okay. So industrial relations is a phrase that takes two words, industry and relations. So we all have relations, I believe. As a human being, we have relations with one another. So in industry, what are the components of an industry? First, we need to understand that. What makes an industry? An industry, and you must have, if you have any economics background with you, you have heard the term factor and then factory. A factor, a worker is a factor. I need this class to be more interactive. You can all speak in between, okay? It's not one-sided that I am only rambling about something. You can also speak.
Jogen sir, actually your screen is not been shared, so
Okay, let me look into it. Okay, now can you see?
Yeah, yes, sir.
yes, now
Yes,
now it's
Okay, so what do we understand about industrial relation? What is industrial relation? We were there. In economy, also, you have heard about the term factory and factors. A factor is a labor, as far as I remember. Isn't it?
Yeah,
In a factory, there are factors or labors who take wages, right? And a conglomerate of factories means many factories of same kind, of same genre or same kind, you can say, they constitute a industry. Are we there?
yes, sir.
Okay. So the lowest of the chain in this framework is labor, right? The lowest of the rung in this chain is labor. So the relation between labor and the industry and how smoothly they operate is known as industrial relations. So industrial relations, in other words, like we can see here, the definition given by the Industrial Labour Organization (ILO), that's a world organization which was formed in 1919 after the First World War. It is the sum total of all relations state, among state, employers and employees. I haven't talked about state because we were just discussing about industrial relations first, because there are two kind of industrial relations, which is first bipartite and tripartite. So in bipartite industrial relations, there's only the employer, the boss, and the employees, the labor. In tripartite industrial relations, there is another term, that is state. State, employer, and employee. And for this smooth functioning between all these three entities, we need industrial relations, we need a legal framework, we need an understanding. To be very basic, we need an understanding so that the operations run smoothly and the overall economy prospers. That's why we need to understand what are industrial relations. We are preparing for this exam, EPFO, and EPFO deals with mainly provident fund PF of the employees. And that provident fund is actually a bigger part of the social security which is provided by the state, which is provided by the state, which is provided by the employer, by taking in account that in future the employee which is working, employee or worker, don't get confused between all these words. These all point out to the same entity that is working for someone. Okay, that is a factor of production. So for that factor of production, there needs to be a social security in future when he's not being able to work. तो उसके लिए हमें एक सोशल सिक्योरिटी और एक ब्रैकेट बनाना पड़ेगा, सेफ बफर जोन व्हेन ही इज नॉट एबल टू वर्क, बिकॉज आप सारी जिंदगी काम नहीं करते एंड नॉर विल द वर्कर. तो उसके लिए पीएफ को एक एंटिटी बनाया गया, पीएफ एज एन एंटिटी बनाया गया कि दैट सम पोर्शन द employer will give and the state will match, and after the retirement it will be given to the worker. Why it has done? To secure the future of the labor when he's not being able to work, because of the human tendency that in old age people can't work. Okay, so according to the definition, these definitions are important to understand because they are very standard definitions which have been taken uh, through various sources, and you will be very curious that what is the standard source for industrial relations. So the standard book which I would prefer is uh, Priyali Ghosh and Shefali Nandan's book. It's McGregor Hill's publication. It's very standard. You can find it anywhere, but I don't believe that you'll be reading that in an examination which is so close, because it's a very bulky book. So in industrial relations, let's see what's the relationship between employers and employees. What do the employers want or the employers want? Employers are capitalist. In some places you will read the word capitalist, because employers want profit and they want efficiency to increase their profits. Okay, their sole motive is to earn more in a capitalist economy. Okay, and workers and employees, they need security, which as for your organization we have seen like PF, ESI, employee state insurance. Okay, or fairness in work, no biasness of any kind, a good workplace, hygienic or safe workplace. You can say these are the aspirations of workers in the economy. And how do they achieve this? The balance, how is that balance is achieved between the employer and employee? That is the basis of industrial relations. That's where industrial relations come in handy. They there is a term collective bargaining. There's a whole chapter on it. We'll see it in detail. But you must understand what is collective bargaining uh, in a cursory reading. So, collective bargaining is when the three factors or the any party, pluralist, you can say, more than one entity comes together and they negotiate. Bargaining is negotiation only. They negotiate a price or a wage or terms so that everyone is may not be happy but they are satisfied, because in negotiations no one is happy. Okay, so workers, industrialists, and state, they all come together and form collective or form some terms, maybe form some legal frameworks so that we can have a not really, we can have a more robust economy. You are not speaking, so I feel like I'm only rambling here, but it's okay. Are you there?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Because I'm not used to taking classes online in this format. I've always taken offline classes and maybe some recorded classes, but in this, I feel like I am the only one who's speaking. Okay, we have seen this. What is the importance of industrial relations? Because it ensures industrial harmony, it promotes fair labor practices, and it is essential for development, economic development. This is okay. Now you can see this diagram. This man, this is a capitalist. Okay, a capitalist in an collective bargaining system or a economy. I have a question for you. A quick question. What kind of economy we are? What kind
Like
of economy?
mixed economy.
Mixed economy. Mixed economy. What does mixed economy means?
So where private sector is operating as well as government is making welfare provisions.
Welfare provision. So more term, the defining term which I was looking for was we are a welfare capitalist economy, welfare capitalist, because we look after the labor also, we look after the capitalist also. So we are try to balance them. Your, your answer is correct. We are a mixed economy, but we are a welfare capitalist economy. This capitalist here in this diagram is balancing between the profits and its employee. You can see in this diagram, he's balancing between his profits, he's balancing between its employees, working a thin line, which maybe we can metaphorically represent it's the government guidelines. That's what capitalist wants us to believe, that they're walking a very thin line between profits and welfare of the employees. But okay, next. What are the key actors in industrial relations? We have seen this, like workers, employers, and government. These are the only key actors in a industrial relations in a tripartite structure. In bipartite structure, there will be only workers and employees only. In tripartite structure, because we are now a more robust and modern economy, there are only tripartite structures or modern capitalist welfare economy in which state governs, state provides rules and regulates, and it mediates through laws. State also acts as an arbitrator. Who is an arbitrator?
Helps in the mediation.
Who helps in the mediation? A third party who helps in mediation is an arbitrator, because if there are strikes against a private entity, for example, tomorrow workers of Reliance company, they strike on some issue. So who will come forward to arbitrate? Government will come, local leaders, Minister of Commerce. Who's Minister of Commerce right now? Piyush Goyal. Yeah. He will come and he'll work as an arbitrator between the workers and the capitalist. Okay. Similarly, to the welfare of people and for the industrial relations, there are constitutional and legal frameworks in the Constitution of India, we have already, uh, which we already had and which we have included through some amendments, because our national movement was uh, inclusive movement. We have taken laborers and farmers and everyone in that movement. So fundamental rights which relate to the industrial relations are given in this table. You can see it's very important, and you have to remember these articles and the provisions and how they relate to industrial relations. Okay, because it's a one-day exam and you'll get factual questions that which article or which directive principle relate to so and so outcome in the industrial relation. Because the question will be like how, from by which article we ensure safe and humane workplaces. So it's under Article 21, right to life and liberty. As a direct question, आपने PYQs देखे इसके APFC के कुछ?
Yes, sir.
तो उसमें डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चंस मिले आपको कुछ ऐसे?
Yes, sir.
हाँ. So उसमें आपको ये हम आर्टिकल्स को एक बार गो थ्रू कर लेते हैं. इट्स वेरी बेसिक. इसमें इतना थ्योरी है नहीं, बिकॉज फैक्चुअल ज्यादा रहेगा. जो मेन थ्योरी या फिर मेन हमारे पास और थ्योरेटिकल मॉडल्स हैं वो नीचे इस पीडीएफ में है हमारे पास. बट फॉर नाउ लेट्स गो थ्रू दीज आर्टिकल्स. आर्टिकल 14, as we all know, equality before law. So equal treatment of workers is necessary for a robust industrial relation, or a robust or safe industrial relations. And the basis of industrial relations to be robust is because industry, economy, and society, they go hand in hand. A robust industrial relation or a robust industry will ensure that the society the society is peaceful. Okay. Article 15, we have seen it's not discrimination on the basis of caste, creed, race, sex. So no biases in employment practices. Article 19, the freedom of free speech and expression. And by this article only, we get freedom of association, on the basis of which we make unions, and we'll separately learn about trade unions later and how they play an important role in industrial relations. In economy, you must have heard about pressure groups, but trade unions are essentially more permanent pressure groups which always work with the industrialist and work for the collective bargaining. Article 23, we see ban on forced labor, which prohibits coercive or bonded labor. We have seen that in India, earlier societal or Varna-based society, we have some castes which are subject to bonded labor, or which were supposed to have only a particular kind of work, and they can't move up the hierarchy. And there are still some cases of bonded labor in very rural areas of Bihar. I don't want to diss Bihar, but there are cases. Ban on child labor in hazardous places. restriction of children factories. We have seen children below the age of 14, they cannot work in the hazardous places, but they can work in family-owned uh, operations. Directive principles uh, which work with for the labor welfare, like Article 38, it ensures, we all know what directive principles are, right? And they are not enforceable in any court of law. And these are the aspirations of the people, which which may be fulfilled when the government may deem it, and we as a society are able to do. Okay, so Article 38 says that the social and economic justice should be there for welfare, and labor also should have propriety rights, or we can say equal share. It's more of a socialist article, or which inclines to the socialistic view of the society, that labor's participation should also be there in the property or in the means of productions. So social and economic justice, according to Article 38, we have to ensure workers' health, child protection, according to Article 39, right to work, Article 41, humane and work and maternity leave, Article 42. You can learn these. These are, I'm just reading from the PDF. This is not something that I should explain. This is important. Article 43A, workers' participation in management. What do you think? In India, the capitalists or industrialists, do they take workers' participation, or do they take advice from the workers in the management?
I think so, sir. Actively, I won't be able to comment on that because I've not worked anywhere. But passively through trade unions and all pressure groups, yeah, they do consider whatever.
But trade unions say, or pressure groups say, they only fulfill their demand, and that is a passive uh,
Yeah,
kind of
that's
action.
what I said. Yeah, active.
It's a passive action. But एक्टिव एक्शन कब होता है? वर्कर्स पार्टिसिपेशन मैनेजमेंट में है या नहीं है? इंडिया में कम है, कम इस तरीके से है क्योंकि
Hmm.
फ्यूडल मेंटालिटी अभी भी थोड़ा सा है इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट में, और दे डोंट थिंक के काफी स्किल्ड लेबर है इंडिया में, और दे मे हैव एनी गुड आइडिया. एक बहुत अच्छा पॉडकास्ट मैं सुन रहा था, उसमें डिसाइड कि इंडस्ट्रीज इंडिया में इसलिए डेवलप नहीं हो पाए बिकॉज ड्यू टू वर्ण व्यवस्था, हमने कुछ तबके को पढ़ने नहीं दिया. लाइक मेटलर्जी में या फिर इंडस्ट्री के अंदर हम लोगों को अर्ली ऑन एजुकेशन देते, तो वी कुड हैव डेवलप्ड और इनोवेट समथिंग मोर थ्रू आउट द ईयर्स. बट नहीं है, नहीं हुआ. इस वजह से हम लोग थोड़ा सा पीछे हैं. वर्कर्स पार्टिसिपेशन इन मैनेजमेंट, अगर आपको कोई पता है तो कोई कंट्री का अगर आप एग्जांपल दे सके तो. मुझे तो
जर्मनी, स्वीडन.
जर्मनी, स्वीडन. क्यों? आइकिया क्या लेके कॉन्सेप्ट, आइकिया ओपन
या
डोर पॉलिसी.
या सर, और स्वीडन का तो मैक्सिमम मतलब टैक्सेशन पॉलिसीज को भी लेके कि दे आर वेरी हैप्पीली, मतलब वर्कर्स खुद देना चाहते हैं. सो या उस पॉलिसीज को भी लेके.
हाँ, ये सही है. आइकिया के अंदर एनीवन कैन पिच आइडिया, और उसको उसका पेटेंट मिलता है और उसका प्रॉफिट मिलता है. तो वर्कर्स पार्टिसिपेशन हो गया मैनेजमेंट में, इनोवेशन में. सिमिलरली इन जर्मनी there is a ratio which they follow, that 20% or 30% people from the labor or the labor or workers will participate in the management or the managerial meetings. So decision making में वो हमेशा रहते हैं available. So you can see how robust their industries are. Okay, this is an introduction class only of industrial relations. इसके notes जो हैं वो काफी detailed हैं. अभी हम सिर्फ इसको डिस्कस कर रहे हैं. ठीक है. अब इसमें ट्रेड मेजर लॉज जैसे हैं कि मेजर लॉज कौन कौन से इंडस्ट्रियल रिलेशंस के लिए आए. ट्रेड यूनियन डिस्प्यूट है, इंडस्ट्रियल डिस्प्यूट एक्ट है, इंडस्ट्रियल एम्प्लॉयमेंट एक्ट है. दिस यू विल गेट इन डिटेल. उनकी डिटेल्स आपको मिलेंगे एंड यू कैन फिगर इट आउट. और उसमें पढ़ने जैसा ऐसा है नहीं कि उसमें थ्योरी कुछ निकलेगा या फिर थ्योरीज का कॉन्फ्लिक्ट हम कुछ निकाल पाएंगे. ओके. इंडस्ट्रियल रिलेशंस code 2020, this is important, although it has not been implemented because the four new labor laws जो भी आए हैं उनको states ने implement नहीं किया. Do you know that हमने 4 new labor laws लेके आए हैं,
Yes, sir.
but they have not been implemented. Why?
Yes.
Because state governments ने उनको implement अभी नहीं किया. State governments, excuse me. हाँ, क्योंकि स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स ने अभी उनको पब्लिश नहीं किया है. उनके ड्राफ्ट्स में दे आर स्टिल नेगोशिएटिंग how this will be implemented, because labor is a very regional subject, because industries are very segregated in India. Some states have many industries, some have very few. So उसको challenge करना, उसके अंदर उसको और ज्यादा scrutiny करने के लिए अभी we have not implemented the 4 new labor codes, but surely वो हो जाएगा आने वाले time में. Now we'll look into the historical evolution, how industrial relations came into being in India. So there are actually 3 phases. Only 2 are mentioned here: pre-independence and post-independence. The third one is mentioned in the red color, after economic liberation. Okay. So in pre-independence, this is a very important topic. You must understand that the questions come right from it. Do you know how many questions come from the industrial relations? Do you have any idea? Around 8 to 10% questions in APFC come from industrial relations. In 2023, there were 14 questions. 2015, there were only 1 or 2 questions. But similarly, in EOAO, earlier there were two exams of EOAO and APFC. Now there is only 1 exam. Do you know इस बार ऐसा चेंज हुआ है?
Yes.
Yes,
हाँ,
sir.
so you can expect कि 10% questions आएंगे, 8 to 10% from APFC in industrial relations, and factual questions will be more like in. That's why we are discussing this historical evolution, कि how industrial relations or the balance between the industries and labor came into being. So pre-independence, in the pre-independence phase के अंदर अगर हम बात करेंगे, in pre-independence phase we were under British rule. So British rule, अगर हम starting से और थोड़ा पीछे जाएंगे, in the 18th century there was a philosophy of laissez-faire. Do you know what is laissez-faire philosophy?
तो एडम स्मिथ की फिलॉसफी थी फ्री मार्केट इकोनॉमी की.
वो तो ठीक है, लेकिन ठीक क्या laissez-faire? Laissez-faire economy or laissez-faire philosophy of economy, it suggests that the state should not have any role in deciding what is happening in business. It should be the sole medium of the employer and the employee. Okay. state should not intervene between business. That's why in 17th, 18th century, we have seen state or like in UK, the British government, the crown did not interfere between the East India Company's affairs in Indian market, and they looted India. East India Company, not Britishers, East India Company. Although we know the history that most of the shares were owned by the crown and that goes on. But लाजिस्फेयर जो फिलॉसफी है उसके अंदर वी सी कि स्टेट का इंटरवेंशन नहीं होना चाहिए. सो प्री इंडस्ट्रियल फेज के अंदर इंडस्ट्रियल जो ग्रोथ है, इंडस्ट्रियल जो रिलेशंस हैं, दे आर बेस्ड ऑन द लाजिस्फेयर इकोनॉमी. द फर्स्ट outburst or major unrest we found is in indigo planters in 1831. Indigo planters. So from starting, indigo जहाँ भी उगाते हैं, that the soil becomes barren, you understand, and they they are not treated fairly. Only a few portion of their crop is given to them for the sustenance. So the first unrest or the first outburst by the workers done in any industrial medium is indigo planters. And later in 1851, cotton mills. This is Bombay cotton. Okay. In 1860, this is said as the first major unrest. It was the Howrah Bridge controversy. Howrah. In 1860, Howrah. In Howrah, around 1,200 railway workers, they stopped working because they were treated inhumanely and the working conditions were not fair. They were not paid wages regularly, or they had some disregard with the employer, the East India Company. So in 1860, there was the first major unrest by the employers or the laborers and outburst. This union, the first union, Bombay Mills Hands Association, and its credit it's been given to N.M. Lokhande. In the textile mills, N.M. Lokhande gathered workers and they had a collective bargaining with the employer. Not a collective bargaining, it was a bargaining with the employers. Collective bargaining will be with the state, with the intervention of state. Okay. So after that, Factories Act was passed. The first out in after these many outbursts, Factories Act was passed. Workmen's Compensation Act was passed, and Trades Union Act was passed. Keep this in mind with the world timeline also, because World War One is going on. 1914 to 1918. So after 1918, this was a universal phenomena. The industrial relations are an outcome of of a universal phenomena because of the World War. The conditions of the worker were so pathetic in regions like UK or the major industrial hubs that uh, the laborer or the labor government felt like we need to do something for the workers, and the International Labor Organization born out of the World War II, just after World War II, and it sets guidelines for the world about labor, may it be minimum wages or working conditions which should be maintained. Okay. This one is very important. Ahmedabad strike. In history, you have heard about Gandhiji. Gandhiji came to India just before, in the midst of World War, and at the forefront, he went to Ahmedabad and did that Ahmedabad mill strike. So under Gandhiji's leadership, we have seen strike. Ahmedabad uh, textile mill strike. It was in 1917, and the Gandhiji's philosophy or the Gandhiji's approach to industrial relation is something which you have studied. It is the trusteeship relationship, because Gandhiji believes that the employer and the employee should work things out, and strike should be the last resort. They should work out through arbitration, through consultation, or through any bargaining. But there should not be a strike, or there should not be any violence. And in trusteeship, we believe that the industrialist or the capitalist should uh, work for the labor, and he should not think of his assets or his capital as he is the sole owner or the proprietor of that commodity. He should be a trustee of that organization and should work for the welfare of people and for the welfare of society. That was Gandhiji's vision for industrial relations. We'll learn more about it later. But what Gandhiji's leadership or Gandhiji's vision was for industrial relations, it's something you have been studying in your history classes also. The trusteeship वाला जो relationship है, जो गांधी जी हमेशा कहते हैं. Creation of ILO. India was a founding member of ILO. It's a well-known fact. ये आपको याद रखना है. Okay. Post-independence. The first thing we did was the formation of Indian National Trade Union Congress, which was found 1947. And in 1947, from 1947 to 1950, there was a industrial truce. Industrial truce. Do you know what is the meaning of truce? Truce का मतलब पता है किसी को?
No, sir.
Peace. जब दो कोई भी two entities they are fighting, and so truce is a peace जो हम वो बनाते हैं उसको कहते हैं truce. So industrial truce in since 1947 to 1950, formative years of India. 1947 में we got independence. 1950 we got our constitution, and for 3 years the leaders of the national movement or the leaders of our country, they sought out a industrial truce between the industrialists and the labor unions. Okay, why it was done? So that for the next 3 years there would be a continuous industrial progress. Okay, and the work won't hinder the growth of India, because India was a very new country, and the state in which India was given to us, we know how situations were. Economically, we were very not very sound. So for 3 years, a truce was signed between industrialist workers, unions, and the state that no strike would take place. There would be no stopping of any work. And this also shows a different approach in industrial relation, which we can say is this psychological approach. approach to industrial theory, psychological approach, because the national, due to the national movement, there was surely a patriotic momentum in the masses. So the attitude of the workers or the perception was clear that we have to build a new country. So the truce was successful. For the 3 years, next 3 years, the workers worked. The industrialists also worked for the welfare of people, and we we set a precedent for the first 5 year plan. And in the first 5 year plan, we know that there was heavy inclination on the heavy industries, right? So it was a successful truce, you can say. Maybe early in the, are you there? Was it a successful truce? Are you listening? Was it a successful truce? What do you think?
Yeah, sir.
It was a successful truce. How many are there? Let me see. There are 29 participants, only one or two are speaking. Okay. Okay, for the first, then we had our first 5 year plans or 5 year plans, and हम जानते हैं कि first 5 year plan में we have insisted on heavy industries or invested in the heavy industry so that India can sail smoothly through the formative years of development or formative years of independence. Okay, these developments of code of discipline of management, the first national commission, this is important, the first national commission of labor and the second national commission of labor we'll discuss in labor or labor commission chapter, maybe in next class, but this is important. In 1969 there was first labor commission. It was under some justice Gangadhar or Gangadhar, I don't remember the name, but there was first national commission in 1969. Okay, in 1975 is a important year because 1975 we had emergency period, and in emergency right to strike, so the suspension of rights was there. And in 1991 we know the year was of economic liberation, and there were demand for major labor reforms, and there is influx of modern industries. Similarly in IT industry, the challenges came like the gig work, which we know today, came through the IT industry only, because in IT industry there was not permanent work, because a person would not work in an industry for a very long time or a company for a very long time, but he would work in an industry. So to ensure that he gets social security after he's not working, there was need to simplify laws, there was need to simplify pension laws, okay, which came after 1991. And the second labor commission, you can see that it came right after 1991 in 2002, after 10 years or 11 years, and it focused on the new economy, which gathered the needs of the informal sector also and the formal sector in the IT sector also. And then we have the new industrial relation codes which are to be implemented now, and these are simplified laws or consolidated laws because we have so many industrial laws in between. You see all these codes and commissions which or reports they have given, they have bulked up so much, and the compliance for the labor law becomes very difficult. So to compile them and to consolidate them, the new industrial relation codes were introduced with the other codes, mainly four labor codes we say. Okay. Now let's see what are the needs for industrial relation. We've seen this. What are the needs for industrial relation? Because employer wants profit and worker want welfare, and to ensure that a fair compensation or safe workplace is given and the dispute is resolved, we need industrial relations. Okay, it I've discussed this before. Why we need industrial relation? Because it prevents industrial strife and it prevents societal disruption, because society is a bigger part and industry is a subset of it, and industrial relation is a subset of it. Okay, in the bigger economy. What are the functions of industrial relations? These keywords are very important. You have to learn these keywords and their meaning may be asked in the examination, like in the match the following type of question, that what do you mean by collective bargaining, what is industrial democracy, or anything. Okay, functions of industrial relations. Yes, it dispute prevention and resolution is what one of the functions of industrial relations. Collective bargaining, we have discussed that collective bargaining is function. Rule making state uh, due to state and tripartite structure. Industrial peace, we have seen. Implementing social justice. Social justice, as per se, fair remuneration, minimum conditions, and insurance, state ESI, which is done by ESI, insurance or provident fund, which is done by EPFO, your organization, and industrial democracy. Industrial democracy means the workers' participation. This is what we are trying to understand or trying to explain, which I'm trying to explain, that the workers' participation in management is necessary for industrial relations, which is ensured by industrial democracy. If the worker has a say in the management, if the worker has a say in management in sense that a proper system is for the wages is there, or the working conditions which are provided are safe and secure, and after when he's not working there are provident funds or pension scheme. Approaches and theories in industrial relations. See, in this, traditionally there was only top down control. Top down, this is also a part of bipartite structure. Top down control in you can see this from any early factory system, like a tea planter, a British tea planter is there who's working in Assam, and he will deal directly with the worker. So there is no third party intervention for arbitration. And in this system, the conflict in this system, conflict is abnormal. Conflict is abnormal in the sense that the tea planter, would not expect that there would be any conflict. Okay. In modern systems of industrial relations, conflict is expected, that a worker will come with a grievance and it would be resolved, because they believe in participative management, in modern approaches to the industrial relations. And negotiations are vital, because both the parties, the employers and employees, they would negotiate, they would have a collective bargaining for their rights, and which is good for the organization also. Okay. In Gandhian approach, we have discussed Gandhian approaches trusteeship and non-violence. He says strike is the last resort. Strike is the last resort. You must not strike, and there is no violence in Gandhian philosophy. Okay, we have discussed about the trusteeship, and arbitration is the way. Arbitration is the way. Psychologically, we have discussed that how psychological approach in industrial relation work, that if the workers are motivated and their attitude is good towards the industry, towards production, then they will be boosting the economic growth. Okay. And how it is done? Through leadership, through motivation, through programs, motivation programs. It's the same thing. Okay. Sociologically, what is the sociological approach or the theory to understand industrial relations? That the society is based on uh, different caste or dynamics. We have discussed it that in Varna Vyavastha, there were some castes who were not allowed to work other than their prescribed work. So Indian labor structure is very rudimentary in that sense, was rudimentary in that sense, but we have moved on since that. And the sociological approach to industrial relations sees the dynamics of industrial relations in that view. Today also you will find that major industrial or industries are with certain class group people, and people from the depressed classes, they are not uh, industrialist, as you can say. They are working in maybe on smaller scale, but you won't find any big industrialist from the depressed classes still in India. So the sociological view or the approach to the industrial relations is still very viable in India. Human relations in industrial relations and how humans interact. This is one-on-one relation actually. One-on-one. This is employer-employee. One employer or employer to its employee. A single employee. This doesn't concern with the larger group or trade union. This relationship or this theory understands the industrial relations with the approach that if the employer knows each and every employee, and if he motivates him and their interpersonal relationship is okay, then there will be better results or better economic growth and less conflict. Radical and Marxist. This I've seen this in your PYQs. Radicalist approach to industrial relationship or Marxist approach, because Marx thought of the industries as the power structures or means of production being held by the capitalist. So he views industrial relations with the focus of class conflict, that the labor will always fight with the industrialist. Okay, and there is a power imbalance in between. So he finds strikes and union movements acceptable, and he also finds violence as a justified means to take part or take over the proprietorship of the capital. In pluralist view of approach or pluralist approach to the industrial relationship, we see there are different entities which, this is not tripartite, this can be more. Mainly there can be more than two unions, more than two trade unions, or employers union. Employers union are also there, industry, and state, of course, state. So a multi or pluralist approach where various groups they work to understand or works to maintain a balance in industrial relations, that is a pluralist view, which is multi-union public sector units defined. Okay. Unitary method to industrial relations. A unitary method, a single entity or a single family. Like in this, we can see the family run businesses. There won't be any need for the industrial relations because the worker is your family member, and conflict is said to be abnormal. Conflict is not expected here. In this unitary function or in the traditional function, conflict is not normal. Conflict is not expected. In family, you won't expect that there would be conflict uh, between the father or son. A son saying that I need more wages or I need more better working conditions, because he knows that the organization, there would be a better transparency in the family run business. So he knows that what is provided is the best in all of our interest. So in unitary approach to industrial relations, there won't be any conflict, or conflict is not expected. Conflict is abnormal. Systems model. This is nothing but same tripartite model which we have understand. Okay, tripartite actor, environment. This environment influences actually political environment. Political environment which influences industrial relations. Types of industrial relations, we have understand that this is bipartite industrial relations between employer and employees. A direct negotiations take place, and uh, direct negotiation take place, and a negotiation is done, or negotiation is direct negotiation is done, and all the sides are being listened, because there are only two sides, employer and employees, and they work together. In tripartite structure, we have seen that mediation is done mostly by the government. It involves government as a third party, which safeguards interest, and it safeguards interest of the labor also and of the employer also. Role of trade unions. Trade unions are organizations of workers which work for the collective bargaining. Okay, which work for the collective bargaining. They work for better wages, they work for rights, they work for a safe environment. But union is for workers when they collectively come together and put their demands. This is different from human relations. This is a pluralist view totally, and this is a modern approach to the industrial relations where negotiation is vital, conflict is natural, and throughout these conflict and throughout these strikes, or Allah, you can say, they work and they ensure that the labor get rights and improve working conditions. Okay, what is the government's role in labor and role in labor administration? Because government is protector Government is a policymaker, and it's still one of the largest, still the largest employer in India. This is the case of India, and regulator because they make laws and executions executes it through executors. And government also mediates, it settles disputes, arbitration through tribunals. There's a labor courts are specified courts which look into the matters of the labor union or cases through labor. And how government do this through Ministry of Labor and Employment. Your organization of which you are giving exam, it's also a subsidiary of the Ministry of Labor and Employment only. Okay. So a tripartite forums, you can see there are tripartite forums. इंडियन लेबर कॉन्फ्रेंस है, तो वहाँ पे बहुत सारे labor unions they come and they discuss about the conditions of the labor, and there's standing labor committee in the parliament. Okay. Specialized bodies for the special industries, be it mines, factories, social security offices like yours, EPFOs offices, social security office only. National commissions of labor, we have looked earlier also that the first labor commission was established in 1961. It reviewed the industrial relations and welfare, and it further prompted laws to labor protection. Second, after globalization, it addressed the globalization informality, because we have learned about the informal workers or the flexibility which was needed for the new IT sector and new union mechanism. Okay. What is the impact of globalization and technology on the industrial relations? Because the very first need of the globalization or technology is that workers' mobility is needed. A worker, I have discussed it earlier also, that in IT sector, what problem came was a worker won't be working for a particular industry for a longer period. So he needs his mobility to work for the different industry or for different employers, but at the same time he needs an insurance from the government or from the employers that his future is secured when he's not being able to work. Okay. Growth of MNC gig platform, this is the rising emerging issues, that what should be done about the gig workers. And now there are new pension schemes, NPS, anyone can invest in the NPS. Impact of globalization technology, we are here. Expansion of services, this is all theoretical or factual. Decline in permanent employment, yes, we've seen that. Need for upskilling, new dispute or casualization, informal work. Principles of labor legislation. Why we need labor legislation? Because it are based on social justice of fair distribution, safe conditions, and they are non-discriminatory and providing equal opportunity. There are categories of labor legislations, that some are regulatory, some are wage, uh, some are looking into the wages or wage dimensions, and some are welfare or protective labors. Like in regulatory laws, we see that Industrial Dispute Act. If there is a dispute between the labor or the industry, then the law which regulates is regulatory law or the Industrial Disputes Act. For the wages law, or that it's not a regulatory law, it's not to be done on the regular intervals. It is a act, or it is a law, that the minimum wage should be given this much also, this much only. So the minimum wage acts work as a postal for the industrialist, through which they give wages or keep wages at par according to the wages law. Welfare and protective laws in industrial relations, you can see that factories act, that how a factory should be maintained, a substandard building bylaws, or how children should be employees in the uh, employment of the in the factories. And social security, we have understand employee securities insurance, or EPF. Now contemporary trends, we have seen this. Industrial welfare movement, early 20th century, Robert Owen. Robert Owen was also a socialist in the, he's a Welsh or Irish uh, socialist who worked for the welfare of the people. He worked for people, workers, especially, that they are provided with minimum wage, better working conditions in the early 20th century of the industrial England. When the industrial revolution was happening, he was fighting for the rights for the people or the labor. Okay, these are factual relations you can learn, or you can remember. Elton Mayo, Charles Mayer, concept of third force. These are not to be discussed because they are of no use for you, because the theory won't come. I've I've learned these for my masters or something, but you don't have to remember these theories. You have to just remember the name and the person associated. Okay, Ahmedabad experiment, we have seen Gandhiji. Bombay Mills strike. Okay, industry emergency era. This is a summary of the major events which we have discussed, and that's it. This is the first class, and now we can look into this PYQ, if you will. Can you answer these PYQs? Of course, if the first one. Can you answer the first PYQ?
First one, 43A.
43A.
43A, of course, 43A. This is interesting. The second PYQ is interesting. You may not be able to answer this. The GRI approach in industrial relations in India is espouses the cause of, because you do not know what is GRI approach. VV Giri was our president. Do you remember VV Giri? He was one of our president,
Yes, sir. VV.
VV Giri. So his approach to industrial relation was that there should not be any third party involvement in resolving the industrial disputes. His sole focus was that the employer and employee, they should handle or the situation, or they should negotiate uh, a peace by their own means. Okay, so अब मैं आपको ये बताने के बाद आप क्या इसको क्वेश्चन को कर सकते हैं सॉल्व, कि वीवी गिरी की अप्रोच ये थी कि nobody should, a third party intervention should not be there for industrial resolution, dispute resolution. So what should be the answer? The Giri approach in industrial relation in India espouses the cause of, क्या education से approach solve करनी चाहिए, education से industrial डिस्प्यूट को सॉल्व करना चाहिए, कंपलसरी कलेक्टिव बार्गेनिंग से, कंसीलिएशन से, आर्बिट्रेशन से। आर्बिट्रेशन स्ट्रेट आउट नहीं है, बिकॉज आर्बिट्रेशन नीड थर्ड पार्टी इंटरवेंशन। एडजुडिकेशन में यू सी थ्रू लॉ और taking
Oh,
someone
time.
to the, what are you saying? Adjudication भी नहीं होगा, because you have to take a party to the court. Collective bargaining होता, but compulsory collective bargaining is imposing something. So this is also not correct. Conciliation. This espouses VV Gree's approach to industrial resolution, industrial dispute resolution. Conciliation. आप जब इस क्वेश्चन को कहीं और देखेंगे, देर आर डिफरेंट इंस्टीट्यूशंस जो अपने आप को समझते हैं, दे आर एक्सपर्ट्स ऑफ इंडस्ट्रियल रिलेशंस, दे हैव मार्क्ड दिस क्वेश्चन रॉन्ग. मैनी ऑफ देम हैव मार्क्ड इट आर्बिट्रेशन, बट आर्बिट्रेशन नहीं हो सकता किसी भी सिनेरियो में, बिकॉज वीवी ग्रीज अप्रोच वाज दैट the industrialist and the worker should resolve their conflict in a bipartite approach. Bipartite. So arbitration nahi hai. And many of the institutions, they have marked it bipartite because they have not studied the theory and what is the approach of Giri. What is the Giri approach? This particular lecture should have felt that कि काफी जल्दी हो गया और इतना in depth में नहीं पढ़ा, because this was meant कि ये in depth में ना पढ़ाया जाए. This is just an introduction. The approaches and the theories which we will discuss further, there are more detailed or more comprehensive. Today there was only introduction of these theories, and there are many things which I have discussed in length also, like collective bargaining. Collective bargaining pe there is a whole chapter, but how the approach is done for the collective bargaining, which we'll discuss in detail. Okay, so you don't feel like कि बहुत फटाफट हो गया या फिर इसके अंदर हमने इतना डिस्कशन नहीं किया. This was not meant for much discussion. This was meant for deliberation. कि see, this is how industrial relations work. There are few approaches. There is a historical context to it, and there are emerging challenges. In next lectures, we'll discuss about the uh, we'll introduce what are trade unions, what are labor legislation, workers' participation. Today, I have taken. Have you seen the course module? You have your course module, right? For the industrial relations, there is marked that for uh, one or two, the point one or two are is there, that background and industrial relation in post-independence and functions of industrial relations are to be discussed. Approaches towards industrial relations is to be discussed. Models of industrial relations is to be discussed. And then we'll discuss about the trade unions, labor legislation, workers' participation, employers' federation, and their role in industrial relations. This these things will unfold. Okay. There seems to be some problem with my mic. Oh, I'm losing battery in one of the iPods. Okay, any doubt till now? Because uh, this is it for the first class. I'm looking at your chats. Library. कंपल्सरी collective bargaining नहीं होगा भाई. Venkatesh. So please provide notes before class. Of course, we'll provide notes before classes also, but which PDF do you want? This particular PDF or the detailed notes you want before classes? Detailed notes. Okay. Okay. Okay, we'll provide the detailed notes first, and then we'll have classes. Sure. So please using these throughout the class. Okay, sure. Of course, we'll share the PYQ compilation on you. How we get recorded classes. Siddharth sir will see into this, how you can get the recorded classes. Surely you will get the recorded classes. Mm.
Okay, fine, everyone. The first lecture is over now. If you have any queries related to the class, then you can drop the message to my personal ID Telegram. I will also share you the personal ID of Jogin sir with you guys. See you in the next class. Till then, take care. Revise the things. Bye bye.